Hey y'all, it's your boy Kai, aka Bible Talks. I just wanted to come on here and talk about faith today. It's late. It's literally where I'm at. It's literally like 2 a.m. But I just felt like I wanted to come on here and really talk about this because I feel like there's something like I want to share and yeah. So let's get into it. So basically, I'm sorry, I don't know why. Oh yeah, here it is. So basically, I feel like with my faith, I want to be raw and real. I feel like I've been, you know, kind of struggling, right? I feel like I try to, I was, I try to obey and follow, what God wants and everything. Even though like I'm not perfect, I still mess up, make mistakes and stuff. But I try to do the best I can, and I feel like I lack, really feeling the presence of God. You know, that's one thing. I feel like still is kind of off. I believe, obviously, and I follow, but I feel like I feel like feeling the presence. I feel like is off. And also, it just feels like, like what's going on and everything. And you know, I don't know, and I'm like, God, like why is happening? Why is happening? Why is happening? And like I was reading my Bible, and I was finding something about faith, okay, and right here in Romans chapter 3 verse 20. Well, there's 28 is the main verse that stands out, but there's one other. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I'm sorry. 27 to 28, and it says, "Can we boast then? Wait, oh, can we boast then that we have done anything to be accepted by God? No, because our acquittal acquittal, sorry, is not based on obeying the law, it is based on faith. So we are made right with God through faith and not by obeying the law." And I feel like that can be kind of confusing, because right off the bat, I feel like that's confusing because I'm like, okay, wait, so, but it's kind of saying like, it's not basically like, it's almost saying, because this whole thing is kind of, about salvation and faith. It's almost like, so your salvation, you won't have salvation, by really obeying it, or obeying, God's laws. It's really off faith is what gets you salvation. But I think what this is like trying to say is, obviously we know that there's some, like, not gray areas, but like not kind of like it says that, but obviously you need to obey God, in his commands to get into the gates of heaven, right? But I feel like the two, faith alone and obeying God's commandments, intertwine, right? And you need both of them to get in heaven, right? And I feel like with me, I'm obeying, and I'm trying my hardest to do, like, to have, basically, like, good works, and um like really trying to live for God, because I know it's good works and living for God, trying to, like I made a video earlier talking about what was it? Oh yeah, doing stuff because God wants us to do good to those who do us wrong. That was a short I posted a little while ago. But you know, dang, what was I talking about? Sorry. Oh yeah, so like I was saying before, like those two, like intertwine, right? And with me, I feel like my faith, my faith has been kind of stumbling a little bit, because it's like, I will do the works for God, and and I'll believe and I'll follow. But sometimes, when I go through things, I feel like, you know, my faith isn't really all there. You know what I'm saying? And I'll get really discouraged and everything like that. But I feel like that could be a tactic of the enemy as well. He wants you to feel that way. He always is the opposite of what God is. And he's always he's always um like the perverted way of what God wants, like the bad way and everything like that. And God, I feel like, even me looking at this to my like looking at this, I feel like I'm even answering a question, or not, or answering, something that I've been wondering myself, such as salvation. Okay, like God, I feel like God is telling me, like, okay, yes, you're not perfect. You make mistakes. You make mistakes, but you've changed your ways in life once you got closer to me, right? You're growing closer, which is good. That's the goal. But I feel like when you may have intrusive thoughts and you feel very, or intrusive thoughts or anxiety or anything like that, you feel very like alone, or stuff that you may go through, you may feel very alone because you don't have faith that I'm going to help you. And I feel like that right there, guys, is, was kind of causing that stumble, what I'm saying, in my faith, and I feel like, you know, yeah, I can cause me to be stagnant and, like not growing as much, and so I feel like I want to really learn how to deepen, my trust and my faith in the Lord, um, because I want, like, I want my salvation to be saved, what I'm saying, or I think that makes sense, yeah, like I want to go to heaven. I want all of us, like all of you guys, to go to heaven. Like, honestly, like, the closer that you get to God, right, and the more serious that you think about things, it's like, okay, stop joking around. Like, I want you to lock in with God, right? Like, and it's like you would want even your worst enemy to go to heaven. Like, the closer you get to God, because it's like, not by with them being like, an enemy, and, not being a good person. You obviously want them to change, but it's like, you care about just the human life. Like, I want you to go to heaven too, you know? So yeah, but that's really like what I wanted to say for today. I really, I'm gonna make more of these videos, guys. And, like, this is fun to me. This is interesting, and I just want to keep going more in depth, and like, yeah, like, yeah, and like, I love God, what I'm saying? Like, and I just, bottom line, y'all, like, I just gotta like him more and trust him, like he's waiting. It's like Bryce Crawford said, like, well, that can still be kind of like with this, but he said, like, if you give him 99%, you you still haven't really, you know, like, giving your life to God. Like, and I feel like that 1% of me, not of me lacking my faith, or my or trust in him, what I'm saying, that he's gonna heal me and, get me through the anxiety I may be having, or, the struggles I may be having, or the intrusive thoughts, or anything like that. I feel, like that is what sets me back, guys. And so the bottom line is, I just gotta pray and literally trust more. Like, like I say that all the time, but I need to live up to it too. So yeah, guys. But all right, guys. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate you so much.